The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 21st day of January 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Mia Chambray, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. How are you this fine Tuesday morning, Mia?
Hey, Jamal. I'm great. How are you? First day of Aquarius season. So
what season did we end just now?
Capricorn.
See,
so it's the age of Aquarius. So anything can happen. So shout out to all my Aquarians who are tuned in this morning.
Yeah, big up to the Aquarius. What does that mean? What are Aquarius people known for?
Aquarians are like
they're not the serial killers, are they?
No. No. They can fall into a couple of categories, but I won't offend anybody here this morning.
leave that to me and Sencha, please.
Aquarians are like the dreamers. They're like a water sign, so they're like really usually very artsy. They're really gentle. They're great friends, but they can be kind of like in the sky, sort of like, in the water. They're really like creative types. Yeah. Okay. So I love Aquarians. Right. I always have in my past. I've always either dated Aquarian men or Cancer men.
All right. We have a type, folks. We have a seasonal type. Big up to yesterday. Obviously, we didn't have a show live. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Day. I know some of you thought that we were taking a day off for the inauguration. No, that's not the case. All right, folks. It was Dr. King Day, so we said, you know what? Let's give you all a break from us. That's just made sense to us. So happy to be back after an additional day off. And David Michael Wilson says, happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Tuesday to you as well, David Michael Wilson. And greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today, as we're going to discuss the independent candidate movement in Bermuda. So looking forward to that conversation. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Well, real quickly, before we jump into the independent candidate movement in Bermuda, did anyone watch the United States presidential inauguration yesterday? Like any part of it? Anyone tuned in? No? Did you? You didn't tune in, Mia? No?
No, not at all. No.
I wonder. I'm still puzzled as to why it was held inside. It wasn't a snowstorm or anything, and inaugurations have happened in colder weather than that, so I was quite surprised. I was actually watching a comedy special on Hulu. Some Roy guy.
Okay.
I guess he used to come on what's it called? Daily Show. Some Roy something. But I was watching that, and a loyal friend of mine, she said she was watching it. I said, "Oh man, I'm here watching a comedy special," and then I tuned in more so because it took me back to Dexter Smith, the editor of the Royal Gazette, when they used to have these COVID press conferences. I just could not take listening to David Burke, Premier of Bermuda, his voice, and I wouldn't watch him. And people said, no, as you're a talk show host discussing news, it's your responsibility to watch this stuff and to know what's going on, what's said firsthand. So that's how I treated the inauguration. I did watch it. And furthermore, I'm not the kind of individual who wants to be in a room where everyone thinks like me. I'm not the kind of individual that just listens or watches things that align with me. That's not how we learn and grow. And so I did listen to, I guess, his speech. I don't know, inauguration speech. And, there were actually quite a few things I didn't disagree with, but there were some things that I find quite comical. Like, how does referring to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America really help people's lives? I mean, I don't understand stuff like that. I understand why people support Donald Trump. It's the same reason I understand why people support Kamala Harris. I think what we have to understand as humans is when we align ourselves with certain groups and we dismiss every and anything from the other group, we're actually no different from the other side. And so I'm happy that I had a political experience at a very young age, in my mid-20s, to understand that the politics and ideology is allowed to change, and how we feel today, 5 to 10 years from now. I'm not a sensitive individual. As a very dark black male who was one of the shortest people always, I've been called every name in the book by black people, mainly. Those are my classmates. I'm not bothered by name calling. Donald Trump has never bothered me in that respect. What bothers me is the policies that people push. That's what bothers me. And that brings us to Bermuda and politics of today in Bermuda. For me, it's a matter of, the policies and legislation. I want to make two things clear this morning. Number one, and I've said this on this show previously, I said this on X, Twitter, whatever you choose to call it. Just because we have David Byrd as premier and the PLP as government doesn't mean race doesn't play a role in modern day Bermuda. That's number one. But number two, race and gender being a deciding factor for your vote is very dangerous to me. It's very dangerous to me. And as a person who has fought many of battles, race-based battles, trust me, coming from me, this election should come down to race. The same way the election in the United States shouldn't have come down to gender. But when we lose, we look for excuses. When we don't get our way, we look for excuses. When we see things going against us, we look for excuses. And the easy excuse today is race and gender. Don't bring that to me. Please come with some substance. Anyway.
I'm with you, Jamal. Preach. I am with you.
Let's go to some audience real quick before we get to today's question. So Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Tuesday, Jamal and Maya. And Mia too. Mia.
Hey, what's up, Suzanne?
Ran by you. She says, I missed you yesterday. Yes, Jamal, I missed you yesterday. Shockingly, we missed you too, Suzanne. Shockingly, yes. Heidelin Swan said she watched the inauguration. David Mike Wilson says bits and pieces, but nothing major. We've got yes, Marquita Lee said she watched it. And Manda said, I saw the signing of executive orders. Trump started throwing the pens he used to sign them into the crowd. Yeah, he didn't put the pen down yesterday, apparently. I mean, the amount of executive orders I woke up seeing he signed, I'm like, my goodness. Let me put this clear. I don't understand all the ins and outs of politics. But some of the things that he signed, they have to go through Congress.
Yes.
So it's not like it's just going to happen.
Correct.
Anyway, Michelle White says, I did tune in for some of it. They didn't say, but I believe it was inside due to fears of assassination, or he feels the code due to age. They kept talking about how cold it was, but I agree, it has been colder.
Yeah, Michelle, that was my thought of assassination attempts.
Yeah. I mean, another thought is that they probably weren't going to get the crowd that he was expecting. And, he loves crowd size. He loves talking about crowd size. But hey, that's just a neutral perspective. Well, let's get into today's question, audience. We're discussing, if you since the last show, we've had the announcement of a couple more independent candidates. The most recent was former Minister, PLP government MP, the Honorable Dr. Renee Webb. So, question of the morning. What are your thoughts about the growing number of independent candidates in the upcoming election? But also, this is a yes or no question, Mia.
Yes.
Do you believe any independent candidate will be successful? Yes or no? And which one? Which one? Do you believe any independent candidate will be successful? Yes or no?
Yes, I do think so. I do think so. And interestingly enough, I think we discussed this before, Jamal, is that back in 1989, which is why I couldn't believe the last week I actually answered that like correctly and so quickly. But it must have been seared into my childhood memories because we lived on, pardon me, North Shore where Stuart Hayward was running. And as you know, I was raised in a very environmentally conscious household. And my mom voted for Stuart Hayward. So she was part of the voters, of that really history-changing election that Stuart won. So I do believe that one or two independents will get in. Which one? That's a great question.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think Renee has a really good chance, to be perfectly honest. I loved everything she was saying.
Renee Webb was talking about this. More than one Renee in the election. So just want to clarify. Webb.
I think, yes, I'm sorry. I think Renee Webb has a very good chance of getting in. And the other candidates, I don't, some of them I don't know as well as others. So I look forward to hearing more from them. I absolutely love Susie Aruda. I thought she was brilliant as well when during your interview with her. And I think she has a great chance as well. So I think, yes, those two.
Oh, Mia says yes. Mia says yes, folks. She thinks that, an independent candidate can be successful. She's gone with the Honorable Renee Webb, Susie Aruda, and one more you said.
Well, it's funnily enough, Jamal, I actually asked my 6-year-old son the other day who the premier of Bermuda was. And he looked at me and he was like, John Swan, Mummy. And I was stunned by that answer. I was stunned. I was stunned by that answer.
David Bart's not going to like that. But all right, so you say Renee Webb and Susie Aruda?
Susie Aruda. And
okay.
And
let's go to the audience real quickly. So we have Traveling Trotty says John Swan. Sean Smith says yes, 1A Crockle and the Honorable Renee Webb. Suzanne Ingham says yes, there's a few I think will succeed. Sierra, who's Sierra? Susie, Renee Webb, and Sir John. Who's Sierra?
Sierra.
Sierra running as an independent?
Does she mean Cyree? I think maybe.
Cyree Bean, probably? Okay, cool. Yeah, Cyree. Okay.
Yeah, that was a typo.
Nicole Walker says Renee Webb and 1A Crockle. And then Amanda says, I think Crockle will get it. Here's the thing. Here's do I believe anyone will be successful? I think the person before this weekend who I believe stood the best chance was 1A Crockle. I know nothing about her. Now, I don't think I've met her in person. But the response to her has been like none other. But also, I think where she stands a chance is where she's running. There's 4 candidates, all women, 4 candidates. Regardless of who loses, the feminists can't say she didn't win because she's a woman. Can't say that. So I think she stands a great chance because of the response to her. I think what she stood for, came across like it had some weight. Now, the PLP has this thing where elections are won on the doorstep. So I guess it will come down to who's the most convincing on the doorstep. I do find it interesting that we do have 2 independent candidates in that constituency, but she stands a chance. Now, since the weekend, I think that the Honorable Diallo Rebane in trouble, especially the One Bermuda Alliance nor Free Democratic Movement has not announced a candidate in the area. If I were the OBA or FDM, I would not put a candidate there. I would let that play out. I personally would let that play out. And I really do believe that the Honorable Renee Webb would, I think she can probably pit the Honorable Minister Diallo Rebane. That I really believe out of those 2, if there was a 1-2 battle, she would come up, because I think it's more, not only were her responses very direct and hard hitting yesterday, but I think she's one of the first people. We're talking about a time when it wasn't cool to stand for the kind of things she stood for. This was a woman that was way before her time, who's decided to return. She connects with generations of people. She's supportive of young people. She is, no, again, no disrespect to the honorable minister, but you haven't been one of Bermuda's favorite ministers. The one thing that people have said, the PLP hasn't mentioned as they speak about their plaudits, is education, your ministry. So I'm thinking if that's a 2-horse race, she may come out on top.
I agree, and I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, she would get my vote, absolutely. Michelle White says, yes, there will be successful independents, more than one, but I don't know which ones. Well said, Michelle. Well said.
Okay. Yeah. I think there will be. James Jones says the people of constituency 13 need to know the truth from Renee Webb. It has come to our attention that Ms. Webb wants a seat in the House of Assembly to push her gay agenda. She needs to be honest with the people of Bermuda. What gay agenda? Just to be clear. And secondly, she's been consistent with these for, as I just said, for years. And even if that was part of her platform, I haven't read her platform or whatever she's put out. If she believes and the people support what she believes, if that's what she supports, then is that not on the people?
Absolutely. And it's more of a human rights agenda, I would venture to say.
It's up to the people. If that is part of what she's pushing, and I don't want to say use the term agenda, but if she's pushing anything to do with, to quote you, gay people, if that's part of her agenda and that's what people want to vote for, then that's on the people.
I agree.
And if you're in that constituency and you disagree with it, then you vote against it.
Completely. You can go for or against it. That's the beauty of democracy. But I think, as you said, Jamal, that Minister Renee Webb has been consistent. She's been representing Bermuda for a very long time. Yeah.
Suzanne Ingham says, I like what we have, that we have a choice of 4 people. It's exciting. And I hate politics. I'm excited. I'd be ecstatic if our kids would be able to vote. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. What else? What are your thoughts about the growing number of independent candidates in the upcoming election? What are your thoughts on it? Like, how do you feel? Do you think this is a good thing for our so-called democracy? Like, how do you feel about the growing number of independent candidates? I know some people have concerns that it's the, Sir John Independent Party. I know some of you feel that way, while others think that it's a good thing. It represents, a Bermuda that's tired of party politics. But what are your thoughts about the growing number? I think it's a good thing.
I do too.
I think it's a good thing simply because we've had, the last 8 years of a Bermuda Progressive Labour Party government. Prior to that, we had 5 years of a One Bermuda Alliance government. And prior to that, we had a long-term Bermuda Progressive Labour Party government. Prior to that, we had 30 years of a United Bermuda Party government. Maybe it is time to try something different. Maybe people are tired of going back and forth with political parties. I don't know, but I think it's a welcomed. It's welcoming. I welcome the independents into this race and just hope that if they are successful, that they can have an impact in the House of Assembly.
I agree. I love this comment from Justin Silva. I'm with you, Suzanne. Politics is so confusing, but to me, I am hopeful for once. I love that.
That's beautiful. And sometimes people need hope. They need that bit of hope. Nicole Walker says, loving the independent movement. Hope we get some in the East. Well, yeah, in the East, as of right now, there's no independence down there. So I think in C1, C2, C3, C4, if I'm not mistaken, we have in C1, I think it's Tia Smith and Renee Ming.
Mm-hmm.
OBA's got Thomas, Harvey, Kim Swan, and then a gentleman from the OBA reached out the other day, Maurice Foley, Levita Fogo, and then I forget who Minister Tanae Furbert's up against. But yeah, there's no independence until you get up to like this Smith's area, where I believe we discussed earlier Dwight Jackson. So
Yes.
interest in that.
So not yet. We've got Jason Green, who says, look closely at the role arts, particularly the candidates who need to read from a sheet of paper and those who don't.
That doesn't bother me. And I'll tell you why it doesn't bother me, whether they read from a sheet of paper. Some people need notes.
Yes, true.
Because they go off on a tangent. I mean, I would be one of them. Some people you have to keep on track. I get his point. You know, some people like they're more like trained and it's not coming from them. But for me, I would probably use notes because even if it's my own words, sometimes I might want to like, that's why I have my little whiteboard here, right? My little whiteboard so that I can make sure that I don't forget to communicate certain things in the morning. So no, I get him. James Jones, it's a big one, so we're going to read it from the site. It says independent candidates should be held to account in the same way as those running from established political parties or in government office. Well, isn't that the point?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. That's the point. It goes on to say all candidates, regardless of party affiliation, have a responsibility to be transparent about their policies, past actions, and qualifications. Voters need this information to make an informed decision, and candidates should be scrutinized for consistency, integrity, and accountability, especially if they seek a role in public office where they will. Well, let me give you a piece of advice, James Jones. Unfortunately, this isn't the Royal Gazette or Burn News where you can like write an essay of comments, so it has to be short, so it's cut your comment off. This is the Daily Hour where it's usually 1 or 2 sentences, so easier to communicate your message. But in saying that, I don't disagree with it. That's the point, to hold them accountable.
Absolutely, and I think that's why we're in such a state of affairs that we're in now. There has not been any of that.
Political party doesn't matter. Independent or not independent doesn't matter. Like the idea is accountability. So I agree with you wholeheartedly with that. Regardless of party affiliation, they have a responsibility to be transparent. Look, let's talk about transparency because, again, going back to what I said earlier, everyone seems to want something until they don't. What do I mean by that? And this is why I enjoy where I sit. I don't subscribe, and due to my experiences, I don't subscribe to liberalism. I don't subscribe to conservatism. I don't subscribe to moderate or whatnot. At some point, humanity has to rule, right?
Absolutely.
At some point, like if I'm a liberal, I'm taught to dislike black men. I'm taught to put women on a pedestal. I'm taught to think that everything that's said about homosexuality is wrong. I'm taught, like, if I'm conservative, it's the opposite. Gay people are the devil. Race is a construct that's not, well, it is, but whatever. I'm taught to believe everything that is new is wrong. I don't subscribe because at the end of the day, I believe both sides have valid arguments, and I believe both sides are extreme in what they disagree in. I think that's how they gain their votes and their popularity. I think we tread very dangerously when we subscribe to something, because now we're taking our human right to independently think. We're removing that. And I think that's one thing that we all should value, our independence to think on our own and think for ourselves.
I agree.
Once we give that up to some sort of political ideology, we're no different from what we claim to dislike.
Absolutely. And I think Michelle White says it really well here. Notes are helpful to remember. Don't hold that against them, but they need to talk with conviction.
And I think that was James. I think it was Jason Green. Sorry, I think that was his point. Is some people, when they're speaking, they don't sound as confident. They seem like they're being coached, or it comes across very manufactured, like it's not authentic, it's not real.
Yes, absolutely.
Fair enough. Ingham says, I welcome the independent and FDM into the race. This should be interesting. Yes, I like those who don't read from a paper. It comes from the heart. What they say is in them and it flows out. Note, yes, but big long sheet of paper is an extreme turnoff to me. Know your stuff. I think the PLP candidate last week, Miss Musson, or a week before, I think she read from a paper,
Yes.
the entire paper, and I think that's probably something that stands out.
I also think
that would concern me as well. That would concern me as well. Like, because I want to know, like, speak from your heart. You know, speak with conviction. Speak from how you feel and why you feel this way.
I agree, Jamal, but that was her first rollout. Yes, it's her first foray into politics. So
Yeah.
she's been very nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes papers make people feel a bit, you know, they have something to hold on to,
Mm-hmm.
or a teleprompter, something like that. So I agree. I think people should speak for conviction. And even if you go a little bit off tangent, sometimes it's beauty in that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I do think that maybe she was a bit nervous. Mm-hmm. We have Kia Renee BDA I think any representative who has real practical answers for the issues that Bermuda faces will be good. They also have to walk the talk, no lip service. I agree with that.
Yeah. What else, audience? What are your thoughts on about the growing number of independent candidates? Are you happy about it? Like, does it make you feel like there's a shift taking place? Do you think they stand a chance, or do you just think it's gonna just be a distraction and, you know, there's no real movement? Personally, I think it gives people another option. You know, I do hear people saying that, based on what happened in C36 in the by-election in October, where between the FDM candidate, the Honorable Mark Bean, independent candidate, Sari Bean, and OBA candidate, what was his name? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, I can see his face. He was a police officer.
What was his name? Hold on, I'm gonna get his name. Carl Neblett, sorry.
Carl Neblett, that's right.
Police officer Carl Neblett. Between those four, the three who were unsuccessful got more votes than the successful candidate. So I get people's concerns regarding people, the others canceling one another out. But I think the voters should still be able to decide what's best. If they feel like, I don't think the successful candidate, Emily Gail Dill, MP, was successful in that because people canceled themselves out. I think the message was still delivered that more people were against the government than for the government.
Yes.
And this is why I think if I was the One Bermuda Alliance and the Free Democratic Movement, and I see what's happened in constituency 13, put that ego aside and let the Honorable Renee Webb and the Honorable Diallo Urbain slug it out. I mean, audience, do you agree? Do you agree? Like, let them slug it out.
I think so too. I love Renee Simmons says, I welcome these new independents. The last one I saw was Mr. Kennedy. He gave an awesome delivery direct from the heart. It proved that what he said is certainly ingrained in him with belief.
You know, I didn't see his press conference, to be honest. I didn't. But I would be happy to go back and check it out, because after seeing the Honorable Renee Webb, I was like, and so many people like, you got to watch this. And I watched it, and it was moving in many respects. One of the things she said, she spoke about, you know, she almost said, you know, we can't blame the PLP for how they govern. I mean, you know, many of them haven't run a business or anything. You know, this is, and I know people will say, well, it's the civil servants who run things and whatnot. And I'm not, let me be clear, because we don't want to go back to times when Black Bermudians in particular, you know, didn't own property or didn't own businesses and act as if only people who have business experience should be into politics. That we don't want to get there, because it gets foggy.
That's true.
But I think the message that people are trying to send is there was a time when even the PLP, you know, the late L. Frederick Wade, was a lawyer. The Honorable Dr. Ewart Brown was a doctor. the late Dame Lois Brown Evans was a lawyer. There was a certain caliber of person. And I'm not saying that everyday blue collar workers can't get into politics.
Yeah.
But there was a time when it seemed people didn't get into politics because they were looking for a job. I'm not saying this to crap on anyone, because I'll tell you what, I've done a security job.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with anybody who hustles to make $1 in an honest, safe, respectful way. I don't.
Same.
I believe that's how we should be living life. But there was a time when your MPs were not doing night security jobs. It was a time when MPs didn't have to be the PR person for the government or political party as well to have an additional income.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be honest as the electorate. Well, I'm not part of the electorate, they removed me, sorry. But you have to be honest as the electorate about the quality of your candidates.
Yeah.
You have to be honest about that, because you will get what you deserve if you don't look a bit more closely to the caliber of candidate. WKD Lama says, I hope more do it. The current parties have failed us. I am a PLP supporter, but they have let me down. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, with the entry of several candidates, I believe that this election will be the hardest to call in history. February 18th will be very interesting. And we haven't even gotten into C5 and C14.
Mm.
Yeah, that's where the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Derek Burgess, is not running. And then the Honorable former National Security Minister of National Security, Wayne Keynes, has bowed out of C14. So things are getting interesting, folks. Things are getting interesting. We're going to take a quick break, come back with the news break. I'm sure Maya has a lot, but keep your comments coming, sharing your thoughts on the independent movement for Bermuda's upcoming general election. I'll tell you what, not only February 18th, but January 31st. It's getting interesting.
Very.
It's getting interesting. Stick with us. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talks and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses, whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment. We provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Mia Chambray, I'm Jamel Hartman. Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Just want to bring something to the audience attention before you see it in the news. So as noted last week and the week before, we did send, we didn't. The legal office for Bermuda Communications Group did send a cease and desist to the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party to remove a video clip that they were using as a sponsored ad on YouTube. Nothing was done. An emergency injunction was filed in the Supreme Court last week. And on Friday at a hearing, the PLP representative showed up to court and said that the video had been removed. Let me just state very clear. With this team, whether it's Mia, Sancha, Maya, Teray, whoever, I really do not care who they support. It's none of my business who they support. They can feel how they feel. What we won't do as a team is endorse any political party or candidate. That's just not what we'll do. We are here to facilitate discussion with you, the audience, facilitate discussion with the guest. Each of us will likely have our biases, but our biases are ours and don't represent the entire team or the organization. So I just want to make that very clear. Also, before we bring Maya in for Daily Hour News Break, can't ignore our folks over on Instagram. And Lou Matthews Live actually stated the idea that the PLP can't run a business is part of a racist notion since the 70s when Black people were actively excluded. Also privileges a business person to run everything, not so on that. And I agree, Lou Matthews. That's why I said what I said. It makes you think of people who own property. Owning a business should not be a prerequisite. I think the point that people are making is that there was a time we had a better caliber of candidate. And today we just don't see that same level of that same caliber. And that's for a number of reasons. People with certain levels of experience, whether it's blue collar or white collar, don't want to deal with the politics. And so we're left with what we have. We're left with a lot of people who were not able to be successful in their careers or private sector. And that's not to say all. That's not to say all, but some, that's what we're left with. But I agree with you. We must separate from that. All right, let's bring Maya Palacio in for Daily Hour News Break. And don't forget, we've got Days of the Year. We've got the Daily Play, all coming up after this. Before we bring Maya in, I haven't asked you to do it today, but you know what to do. Whatever platform you're on, give us a like, a love, a follow. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure as many people you know have access to these important community conversations as possible. We're giving you information that music just cannot deliver.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, M to the P. How are you?
You know what? Feeling pretty good this morning. I feel like there's been so much news that actually went out just the other day and over the weekend that there's a lot to catch up on. But as we've been talking about, there's so many independents rolling out just constantly that there is definitely a lot to, catch up to as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm glad you had a day off yesterday. Well, I hope you took a day off because you day off, you're still working like 24 hours. But sorry, I said that all along. But I'm sure you have quite a bit to go through today.
We do have a lot of news to catch up on following over the weekend. So good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News Break brought to you by the good people at People's Pharmacy. So we're starting out on news this morning. There were two actually collisions that occurred over the weekend. The first had sent a 15-year-old to the ICU. Here's the full story.
Apparently, on the arrival of emergency services, two individuals were found on the ground. The pedal-cyclist, understood to be a 24-year-old Warwick man, as well as a local 15-year-old male, believed to be on the motorcycle at the time of the collision. It remains unclear whether the teen was the motorcycle rider or a passenger. Both injured individuals were transported to the hospital via ambulance for treatment. At last check, the pedal cyclist has been treated and discharged from the hospital, while the 15-year-old male has been admitted into the intensive care unit. Any witnesses are asked to call Constable Derek Simmons on 717-2067. Meanwhile, in the other case, also reported two-vehicle collision that happened in Warwick, inquiries are ongoing regarding the collision involving a car and a motorcycle
on Middle Road in Warwick near Camp Hill that occurred around 4:40 p.m. on Sunday, January the 19th. It appears that the motorcycle was being ridden in the eastbound lane of Middle Road and the car was being driven out of the parking area of Island Cuisine when the two vehicles collided. The motorcycle rider, believed to be an 18-year-old Pembroke man, apparently sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to the hospital. The car driver, believed to be a 35-year-old Pembroke woman, was not hurt. Both vehicles involved were damaged. Any witnesses that have not already come forward are now asked to call 211.
Yeah, wishing everyone safety. Glad that the pedal cycle rider, it was discharged, and hopefully injuries not, more than where he needs to go back to the hospital. But yeah, hopefully everyone's okay.
Yes, wishing 15-year-old right now in ICU a speedy recovery, and hopefully there's not too much damage and that he gets out very soon. Meanwhile, there was the latest, if you didn't know, in PowerSchool cyber breaches involving an unauthorized access to the PowerSchool student information system customer data. So the Commissioner of Education, Kamal Richards, emphasized the seriousness of the situation and the department's measures. She said that PowerSchool has confirmed that the breach included data from some of Bermuda's public school families and teachers as well. Here's a little bit more. The data extracted were in the student and teacher tables. The compromised information primarily consists of parent and student contact details such as names, students' date of birth, addresses, telephone numbers, and email addresses. Additionally, PowerSchool has informed clients that more sensitive, personally identifiable information, or PII, was also affected for certain individuals. The department captures PII information in the medical alert field, such as allergies and asthma. Unfortunately, until PowerSchool recovers the Bermuda database log files covering the period of the breach, they are unable to confirm whether PII specific to Bermuda Public Schools was compromised.
Hold on.
So,
you mean we had would that be considered a cyber attack?
Yeah, cyber breach, cyber attack, yes. Data was extracted, things were taken, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we, I'm not being that person, but did we ever find out what happened with the government cyber attack?
No.
2 seconds, let me write that down. Cyber attack. Oh, continue, sorry.
Oh yeah, so just in more news actually relating to more cyber attacks, the Bermuda Police Service actually came out saying that they will be working now with the Bermuda Bankers Association to combat financial crime. I think we talked about this a little bit briefly last year, that this is something that they're looking forward to do in order to help give out more advice and stop these things from happening. So just a little bit of information that they gave actually at this conference related to what's already happened in 2025. These are things that are presently happening. A little bit from 2024, then jumping into 2025. So here's the stats right now.
And the number of individuals who reported receiving scams or scam calls is approximately 250. Those are the numbers that the Bermuda Police Service received in 2024. In 2025, to date, there have been 2 victims that have been reported to the police, and they have lost anywhere in the region of $100,000.
2 victims, $100,000 rate taken. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was last year was like $1 million, or maybe a little bit more that was taken. So already.
Do we know? I mean, I don't know if there's more to that clip. Do we know how old these victims were?
No, we don't know how old these victims were. But it is majority that is seniors that this affects a lot of, especially when it comes to like their pensions or what they've saved and things like that for like retirement. So these are the type of funds that do get taken. The gentleman beside him, who was part of the whole banking association, he mentioned how these are, even though it's a global issue in Bermuda, when they call us, they try to even sound Bermudian. So like to really just be on your toes, to like understand like if something feels off, please hang up and actually call your own personal banking. And I think this needs to be a conversation now as we've led into it, and it's been so prevalent and just continues to happen more and more in Bermuda, that you need to start sitting down with your family and having these conversations with the seniors and with the young people as well about what this sort of like scamming looks like and how to prevent it, and just to hang up and call yourself or whoever's the lead in your family to, ask them first before you move on with anything that has to do with financial, as someone calling you for your banking details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. definitely heading into that route. Now we're going to move on to politics, as we've been talking earlier this morning. While the rollout of independents continues to rise, definitely increasing the options and interests for the upcoming general election. So recently, former PLP MP and Minister, the Honourable Renee Webb, announced that she'll be running as an independent candidate in Constituency 13, Devonshire North Central, in the upcoming general election. Here's two small clips. We're going to start with the first one of what she said in the beginning of her statement.
It was clear to me that the PLP was no longer the party that I was used to. We all know that the parties have had a history in Bermuda, and of course it's had a history in some instances that has been very positive for Bermuda. We've moved Bermuda on from being a racist establishment. When I got elected for the first time, I was a part of the team that got elected for the first time under the PLP. Unfortunately, the PLP of those times is not the PLP of today.
Now, we're going to jump into what she had to say about the independents, and this video is courtesy of TNN. About basically, we've been hearing what the Progressive Labour Party has been saying, that the independents are a group, that they are a quote-unquote party. So she wants to address that in the statement. Here you go.
And we, of course, have never had a party group. Of course, we have had people who have run as independents, but we've never had a party of people that ran. And we are not a political party. We are independent candidates. We all have our own voice, and when we're in Parliament, we don't have to be dictated to by a party. We don't have to be told how to vote, etc. So we have decided to come together as a group of Bermudians, UBP, PLP, Black, White, Portuguese, the whole team that people like to classify us under. I don't particularly like those terms, but anyway, that's what we use in Bermuda. And so we've gotten together and we've decided that we are going to help change Bermuda, get away from the political system, which is very divided and causes a lot of unnecessary behavior in Parliament and also in the community.
I mean, can't disagree with most of what she said.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that kind of answers the question as well about what people think that who the independents are. I believe Susie Arruda also addressed it too when she was on the show, but just trying to take the party out of it and just know they're all individuals running independently in this upcoming general election. So go ahead, Jamal.
No, I see her point. I think what I get from it is that there's no party whip, meaning if a number of them get into the House, they will probably still vote with their conscience, not a party line. That's what I'm taking from it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's exactly what you're trying to say. Like at the end of the day, they don't have someone telling them or dictating them what they can do. In more news coming about independence was a new one, business owner Gavin Kennedy for C28. Now, he is up in Warwick. He owns The Hub, if you've ever been to it, right across on PHC Field. And this is the things that he had to say when it came to his press conference. This audio is courtesy of TNN.
I've seen a change in Bermuda. I voted for the UBP. I voted for the OBA. For the past two elections, I voted for the PLP, believing in their promises, believing in their platforms. I haven't seen much of a change in the past 10 years. Now is the time to make Bermuda better. I've lived in this neighborhood, like I said, pretty well all my life. I run a business here. I've spoken to the people of Warwick. I see the people in Warwick. I talk to the people of Warwick. I hear them. I go to the gas station. I see new faces at the food lines every week. I see the lines getting longer. I see the lines starting earlier. We need to make a difference. We need to make a change. We need to give our youth more power. We need to allow them to vote when they're not on the island.
I mean, they saying all the independents are saying all the right things, but for years, political parties did the same. So, yeah.
All right. So I know it's a lot of it this morning, but there's some more politics, so stay with me because this one was a newest update that we probably have right now. And the fact that the Honorable Derek Burgess, JPMP, the Honorable Derek Burgess, JPMP, are no longer serving in Parliament from Constituency 5, as well as also MP Wayne Keynes, as you see here. So they'll be leaving and stepping away from politics after serving for so many years. They said that Honorable Derek Burgess has served in the House of Assembly since 1998. And the party leader, David Burt, said being a representative is a significant sacrifice, and I pay homage to MP Burgess for his many years of service. He has served in many roles in our party, and I wish him the very best in his well-deserved retirement. Now, in regards to Wayne Keynes, Premier Burt said, I am sad to see Wayne step away at this time, but I'm sure it's more of a pause than a retirement. I thank him for his support of the party and look forward to working with him as we continue to advance the mission of the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party to deliver a fairer Bermuda. The party anticipates the announcement of their new candidates by the end of this week.
I'll talk about all that tomorrow.
Furthermore, and just even more political news, if you haven't heard, well, today the FDM said that they will officially begin their candidate rollouts. Now, this will happen around 1 p.m. today. As we look forward to that, we're hoping to get a team member out on the scene as well, so we could bring you the latest tomorrow coming from Simone Vaughn. So look forward to that today, as the FDM will be, as I said, rolling out their candidates.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
What's the date today? The 21st? So less than a month to go, folks. Less than a month.
Yes, a month ago. Now, closing with some original news here, and some stuff that we've obviously been talking about, but I have a story and a video that's going to come out later today in regards to the different options of voting, because one of the main questions I've actually been getting on Media Maya from the previous video that I posted was like, what are the different ways that I can vote? So this is in regards to some people feeling like, well, I'm registered, but like, what if I don't want to vote for any candidate? What if I'm like, still either unsure or just not interested or don't want these to actually sit in and be in my constituency. So this has been something that's been quite actively been asked via DMs or just underneath the story. So I have decided to make a video that explains the different ways in which you can vote, but also inside there, I want to include a brief history on voting in Bermuda. So I'm going to show you that brief history clip right now, but you'll get the full extent later on today on my page. But here it is. Really quick, brief history of voting in Bermuda.
Bermuda's parliament is one of the oldest known legislators, dating back to August 1st, 1620. For a long period of Bermuda's history, only men who owned property could vote, which largely excluded black men. In the early 1800s, James Darrow, a free black man who was one of Bermuda's first king's pilots, made history as the first known black person to own property, but he couldn't vote because slavery still existed. When the Emancipation Act passed in 1834, it was recorded that about 30 black men owned property versus over 600 white men. Jumping years later, in 1944, after about 30 years of fighting by Gladys Morrell and the women's suffrage movement, a bill passed in the House of Assembly granting women the right to vote. But because of property qualifications, political power remained in the hands of Bermuda's white male elite, and black women did not own property, so they were largely excluded. Then in 1963, the Parliamentary Election Act in Bermuda introduced universal suffrage, meaning everyone could vote, but it wasn't truly equal. Wealthy white businessmen in Parliament added the Watlington Amendment, which gave landowners with taxable property an extra vote or a plus vote, doubling their influence. They also raised the voting age from 21 to 25, making it harder for young people to vote. Not shortly after, though, the Parliamentary Election Act of 1963 removed the requirement to own land to be eligible for election, but it also included a clause that disqualified anyone holding a government job with a salary from running for the House of Assembly. This excluded many black Bermudians because for many educated black people in Bermuda, getting a government job was the only option. Soon after, in 1966, the act was amended and abolished the plus vote, and the voting age dropped back to 21, but it wasn't until 1989 that the voting age was lowered to 18.
Thank you for that, MP. I have so many things with that. It was Billie Jean King that once said, she spoke about women winning the right to vote. And it pissed me off because women didn't win the right to vote. White women got the right to vote. And I think we need to be clear in that. Even when, we say that, people were allowed to vote, I think there's so many different things at play, which you just mentioned. Whether they own property and then the plus one. But let's bring it up to 2003, because I am shocked that people do not know that 2003 was the first one man, one vote in Bermuda. Like that was probably, if we're honest, the first fair election that we had in Bermuda, and people don't know that. So appreciate you doing that. Thank you for that. And I hope people understand, as a person who has actually, not voted by choice before, but understand the importance of the option that they have to vote. So thank you.
Might need to add that one in there. There's, like I said, there's so much more that can be included in this, like that brief history. Like I was saying, like you can still go to Bermuda Archives, go to, the library, talk to the librarian, talk to your teacher, talk to the elders in your neighborhood, because again, there's so much that we've lost that we don't know. And some of these dates, like I said, 1989, like Jamal saying 2003, things that happen so frequently and so recently that we just don't know about, or like it just hasn't been ingrained in our own history, especially the younger generation. But as we talked about, like Jamal, and I'm sure we said on the show many times, you can't blame the younger generation for not knowing what they don't know when you're the one who's supposed to teach them. So
I blame my elders. That's who I blame. My uncles, my aunt. I blame them all. Don't get me. I love you, but this on you.
The things
I'm not going to blame the education system. I'm putting this on family. I'm putting this on community. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, indeed. All right, so we're going to close it out right now with my newscast with the weather today. It says an overcast with periods of rain increasing towards the afternoon. So hopefully it's clear enough, at least for the press conference, depending on where it is. But at the same time, well, for the FDM press conference, but at the same time, please just get your coats, get your umbrellas. The weather is not letting down right now in Bermuda. You got a high of 65, but we're still expecting some pretty moderate winds. So just be mindful out there on those roads as always.
Oh, appreciate that. Rain on your parade. Thanks, MP. I'm interested. You said a lot today, man. And I'm really interested, Maya, about the FDM candidate rollout. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think we found out that Ray Kai Emery is running as an independent candidate based on his social media. And he was a recent chairman of the Free Democratic Movement. So I'm very interested to see the rollout. And I wonder, based on the conversation with the current chairman, Omar Dill last week, it seems like they're approaching this very strategic. So I think, based on that conversation, I want to see what the strategy is for them. So looking forward to it. But one more thing on the voting thing. Maya said a lot in that. But it also explains how much further we have to go. And I want to establish something now. When we're fighting for the right to vote, we must not be exclusive. And what I mean by that is someone said to me on this show, it was probably last week or week before, that I should have the right to vote even though I don't live in Bermuda because I own a business. No, just because I own a business doesn't mean I deserve a vote more than someone who doesn't. At the end of the day, if we agree that Bermudians outside of Bermuda deserve votes because they are status holding Bermudians, then they deserve votes. We have to stop, because you would be putting me on a plateau, just like Maya explained, like a person who owned property versus a person who didn't. That's not how it should work. We need to be inclusive. And I understand that sometimes we have to fight level by level, like focus on A first, then B, and then C. The problem is we live in a society where once some folks get what they want, they're out.
You know what's interesting too, when I was like reading up on some of these facts in history, and at one point when they're talking about how they didn't want the young people to be able to vote because at that period of time it was a lot of young people that could have been able to vote, and they're like, that'll be so disproportionate versus the rest of us who could vote. I'm like, imagine if we did that today. So the seniors because it's too many of you and only the young people can vote. Like, and I was like, that is such an interesting argument they had played back then just for not having young people vote and didn't want to drop it below 25 because 18, 25-year-olds, there was a lot of them in that time.
And it seems, Maya, so interesting that it's just history repeating by disenfranchising the youth again with the vote. It's just like, where are we going? We haven't gone anywhere. Just continue to spin our wheels and just keep disenfranchising the youth for not being able to vote.
And as we continue talking about just, Bermudians who are away and just can't vote, I want to encourage anyone, if you can, because I am doing a full article on the survey that I still have going out. We've surpassed 100. We're going up to 120. I still want about 200 to 300. So the numbers are looking great, but please continue to share the survey. I'll put the links out a lot more today as well. But anyone who's outside of Bermuda and cannot vote, and I know there's many of them who watch this show, please send me an email news@media-maya.com. I'll put it in the comments as well. But I'm also looking to speak to individuals who are not students as well to get their perspective on how they feel about it being outside of Bermuda and not being able to vote in the general election and how they feel about it. So looking to get at least 3 persons. If you are interested and willing to talk to me, I'd be grateful. So news@media-maya.com.
Can you talk to me? Oh, no, I mean, but no, I want to highlight what Mia said. I think throughout this conversation, what she said is pretty much what Michelle White says here as well, regarding the right to vote, and all students abroad in school are having to fight for the right to vote. I think, if nothing else, folks, what she said just now is, now we're doing it all over again, but with students. And I think that shouldn't be lost on anyone. And this is why I'm saying, when you give yourself, when you align yourself with an ideology so much, you lose yourself. And it's the thing when it's like when the oppressed become the oppressor. What I mean by that is the same political party in which the premier represents would have been the one fighting against this 30 years ago. And so we have to be very careful. Yes, you have your bias, but when you commit to a political ideology, understand that over time, you will become less of who you are and more of what that ideology wants you to be. Trust me on this. If there's no other proof, look before you in modern day Bermuda politics. Mia, do you have any days of the year for us?
Oh, I do. Oh my gosh, I was just lost in my thoughts just then. I love this news break today, Maya. Absolutely awesome. By the way, your work is just chef's kiss. Yes, today, days of the year is, and I think we all could use one of these, especially in these political times. It's Hugging Day, International Day of the Hug. So I was going to ask you, Jamal and Maya, and the audience, are you a hugger, Jamal? Are you like when you first meet people? Do you give them like a hug, or?
Why you shake your head? No, Maya.
I mean, I'm saying for myself, I wasn't trying to speak for you, but I was like,
well, I've gotten better. So for me, I don't know about you. I didn't come from a family where we hug. That's not how we should love. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so on. So, but people have kind of made me a hugger over the last year or two.
And Maya, what about you?
Not really a hugger, but I have learned to hug my family a lot more. But like new people, no. But family, I will try to hug a lot more because you never know how long you're gonna have your people around you.
Yeah.
So like that lesson has been taught to me in whole ways. So it's just like I will hold you as much as I can while you're still here to be held.
Yeah, that's what's changed. I think, that over the last 2-3 years, I've become I think my nieces did it to me. My nieces. That's what got me to do it. And so now you'd see me. But if you catch me hugging somebody, just know that they're family. All right?
Yes. I have to say, Charles H. Jefferson II says, I am a proud hugger. Yes, Charles, me too.
Don't touch me, bro. Don't touch me. Keep your hands to yourself.
Oh my gosh, I am an absolute hugger. I mean, that's a surprise to no one. I literally hug like every single person.
And Sherry forced me to be one. She forced me to be one. All right, folks. Maya, thank you so much for today's news break. We got to take a quick break, folks. We're going to come back. We've got the daily play coming up. Unless Maya wants to get this wrong with Mia. But hey, folks, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 1 minute, 40 seconds. Stick with us. In the meantime, give us a like, love, retweet, repost, whatever you do. We appreciate it.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need. From top quality foods to toys and supplies, we've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Game list, wrong up.
Hey, buddy.
Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lois Brown Evans.
Mason, what did we say?
Dame Lois Brown Evans.
Dame Lois Brown Evans? Where do you find that?
Mommy played Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia. All volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
All right, welcome back to Big Show. Thanks again to every last one of you for engaging this morning. Appreciate Maya. Thanks again for the news break. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys give us a like, a love, follow, share. Make sure you, take this information and discuss it with your family, your colleagues, your associates, classmates, whoever. These are important community conversations. Make sure you all know what's going on in your local community. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, Mia.
Yes.
The answer to this question was in an answer last week. All right. All right, here we go. Talking about independence this morning.
Okay.
We all know that Stuart Haywood was the only independent to claim victory and win a seat in Parliament in 1989. The question, who did he oust from Parliament when he won?
Oh, I know this because I've heard it. I can't remember. Somebody the second. It's like a junior or something like that. Oh man, you stumped me this week. Come on, Charles H. Jeffers, I need you.
No one got the answer?
I can't.
Oh, Charles brought it. There you go. Clarence James. Yes, Clarence James. It was Clarence James. So Clarence James of the ruling United Bermuda Party, which was considered a strong seat in Pembroke West Central.
Wow.
Yeah, Clarence James. All right, we got to go. Final thoughts on the independent candidate movement, Mia.
Well, I want to reflect on one of the comments that received today from the audience that while they get a bit kerfuffled and overwhelmed by politics, this movement of new independent candidates, this fresh blood in the Bermudian political arena, has really inspired hope. And I really reflect on those sentiments. I feel very hopeful. I really resonate with what many of the independents are saying. And I think it is going to be a very interesting election on February 18th. And I think the appetite has increased for politics, and it's more of appetite rather than apathy in regards to these very brave independent candidates putting themselves forward. And I think it's creating a real element of excitement. So I'm feeling very optimistic about the independents. And I look to see how this all shakes out. I think it's exciting. How about you, Jamal?
I think it's an interesting time in politics for Bermuda. And I think one thing is consistent when I listen to the independent candidates is that they're trying to focus on getting away from party politics. As a person who had an issue before both governments, the One Bermuda Alliance and Bermuda Progressive Labour Party, I've seen how towing the party line can result in halting progress. How people can say one thing to you on your couch and then go along with the party in Parliament. Very few have had the courage to go against their party. Dale Butler has done it in my time that I can remember. You had, I think, with the gaming deal, many sitting MPs run against the Honorable former Premier Dr. the Honorable Ewart Brown. I think Curtis Dickinson, Renee Ming have done it, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I think that's what the independent movement presents itself as and promotes, that there will be no party whip. And if we're successful, we will be representing our constituents, not ourselves and not a political entity. Maybe that's the direction that most Bermudians want. Maybe that's the direction that Bermudians need. I don't know. I honestly don't know. What I will say is that it's an interesting time. It's a very interesting time in Bermuda politics. And within a month, we'll know what direction Bermudians will choose to go. Do you have any daily inspiration for us, Mia?
I do, actually. And this is a quote that really resonated with me this morning when I heard it. Bermudians deserve to have representatives that are willing to stand up without being dictated to by their political party and leader without fear or favor. It is now time to have diverse voices represented in Parliament. Minister Renee Webb.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that, Mia. Folks, it's that time. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Mia Chambray. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are is out. Peace.